name is Akuma, and I'm the co-founder and CEO of FarmCrowdy. Okay, FarmCrowdy was an idea that came to me around February 2016, and it was because I had a problem of finding farmers that I could invest in and who were going to give me a decent return from my investment at the end of the farming cycle. Doing my research, I found out that farmers had a problem of being unbankable. Even when they got money to sort out their farming needs, they didn't have the technical fields specialization in order to produce quality food, and then they didn't have market to sell their farm produce. On the other side, you had people that were interested in investing in agriculture, but they didn't know farmers to work with. They didn't know the ones to trust. There was no platform to showcase the farmers that they could work with. So while doing my research with my team then, who later became co-founders with me in FarmCrowdy, we together built a platform that connects these small-scale farmers now with the sponsors or the investors, in order so that when they sponsor a farm, what we've done in essence is we provided the inputs, the seeds, the fertilizer, everything the farmer needs to go a full season of farming. In addition to that, they are able to provide the necessary revenue that we have, income that will allow us to engage technical field specialists that will train the farmers on how to improve the quality of their yield. And then in addition to that, we then have market access for the farmers to sell their farm produce. So the sponsor then sits back and is getting updates in terms of pictures, in videos and text on the platform. And then at the end of the cycle, in addition to visiting the farm and meeting their farmers within the cycle, that's also provided. But at the end of the cycle, we then pay the farmers 40% of the profit of the additional farm that they had. Then the sponsor gets the initial capital back, and then 40% of the profit from the farm. And the FarmCrowdy keeps 20% for its work done. In the last 15 months we've worked with more than 2,000 small-scale farmers to date across 8 states in Nigeria. We've been able to generate close to $2 million in sponsorship from Nigerians who are interested in sponsoring Nigerian farmers to grow Nigerian food for Nigerians to eat. Our goal is that we'll be able to double those numbers this year, work with up to 4,000 farmers across more states. We're looking at new states to work in addition to the other farmers that we already have on the platform, while also providing the opportunity for people to sponsor more and then participate in this whole goal of producing more food, so that we pretty much drive out hunger out of the country through our platform. Finally, people find our platform as one that they're able to understand the agriculture space from, because when you come on FarmCrowdy, you don't just sponsor farms, you can also follow a farm. And the following a farm, you get all the updates, pictures, the videos and the text, which helps an individual make an informed decision about eventually investing in the agriculture space. So FarmCrowdy as a platform is an online platform that lets you sponsor a farmer. So you put your money through the FarmCrowdy platform, it gets to us and we're able to disperse to the farmer. You get your videos and your pictures and your updates online. So you're pretty much a farmer without a farm. But that is the online bit. The real work then happens on the farm with the farmer. Once the money comes in, the sponsorship comes in, we then need to buy the farm inputs and monitor and manage the farmer throughout the farming cycle with our technical field specialists and partners we have across the different states we work in. That level of involvement with the farmer is not virtual. Producing food is not virtual. That is the real work that happens on the farm. And then the farmer goes through the process, and then the sponsor sits back and is getting the pictures and videos, and although you can visit the farmer when he wants to, and just understand the whole process while expecting a return at the end of the harvest season. At harvest, we then get the market that we will sell the farm produce to. That's not virtual. Getting the market is still not virtual, and then we'll sell the farm produce, and then when paying the sponsor back, then we come back to the online platform and then pay the sponsor back through the online platform. So when the sponsor is sponsoring, up to about 4% of the sponsorship goes into insuring the farm. So we have agri insurance packages from the likes of Media Insurance and AXA Mansard that makes sure that the sponsorship that goes into the farm, the premium cover on that sponsorship is taken care of by the insurance cover. So that if worst case scenario, something really bad happens on the farm, the sponsor is able to get his capital or sponsorship back intact. What would then happen is he won't be able to get the profit back from it. In addition to that, is the Central Bank of Nigeria has created an arm we call NISAL, and NISAL provides up to 75% cover on the production cost on the farm. That in itself helps us to also get some level of leverage of cover for our sponsors, so that the investment going into the farm has the NISA cover, has the insurance cover, and that makes it a lot more secure and dependable for people. A sponsorship today of FarmCrowdy, right now the minimum sits around 96,000 to have a couple of day-old chicks on our platform. So you get one farm unit with 96,000, but it's not limited to that. You can come and decide to do 2, 3, 4 units of that. So it depends on the individual, but the starting point is 96,000. At the moment, we've been lucky to have some investments. So we've had last year October 2017 into December, we're able to raise $1 million in investment on it. That's equity investors investing in FarmCrowdy. That has given us some level of leverage to scale our platform. Just yesterday, we announced that we won a $325,000 grant from GSME Association. That's the GSME Innovation Fund. That in itself is also to help us build mobile apps to scale our efforts across the country.